So thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's kind of in between. Tonight, everyone, my name is Steph and I am from the Work My Own Way team as part of the Entrepreneurship Facilitator Service for Gippsland. So we're very excited to be partnering with Pursuit Advisors tonight for this amazing workshop on building a better business in 10 steps. Always love the clarity of a few steps forward to really help know where to go. So we're joined by both Stu and Steph, who are going to take you through tonight's workshop. But before we kick off, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we're meeting this evening, all over Gippsland, and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging. So without further ado, that's enough from me. I'm going to pass over to Stu and other Steph, the new and improved version, to take you guys through tonight's workshop. And just a quick reminder, if you have any questions, pop them in the chat. I'll be monitoring that one and we can make sure that we stop and have some breaks for questions. But Stu and Steph, over to you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Steph. Hello, everybody. I'll do a quick intro myself. I'm Stuart Kendall from Pursuit Advisors. Been working here for about 5 years, and I'm our product development leader, so in charge of innovation and improvement here at Pursuit. Joined by Steph Green tonight, who's our SMSF, self-managed super specialist, and she's also our marketing leader, does all the marketing promotions. What we want to do is just go through and run through these 10 steps. We'll try and open things up and make it as interactive as we can. So if you've got a question, as Steph said, throw it in the chat and we can pause and go through things. And really, I think that's it. So it's, if everyone's happy, let's fire away. Okay, so I always like to start with the thought of the session, so I'll leave you there to read that. But personally, I'm really passionate about small business owners getting more from their business. But it's really, really important to understand, especially in today's climate, that there's no sort of magic bullets for this. So we're going to share some practical things you can do in improving your business, but it's not going to be a substitute for ongoing hard work. It's not a substitute for working on your business, not just in your business. And it's not a substitute for synergy between your team. That's internal, the people you work with day to day, and also external, the advisory group you put around yourself. So I suppose before we really get too into things, I really want everyone to consider what a better business actually means to them. Okay, so is it just more profit, right? Is it a balance between work and play? Perhaps you're looking for a less stressful environment, or ways to actually enjoy work and get that motivation to turn up and go every day. And have a really good think about what your business needs to deliver to you. Okay, so a better business is one that delivers for us the three freedoms. So that's freedom of time, freedom of mind, and freedom of money, I suppose. So because all your problems really land in those three areas. You know, not enough time, too much stress, not enough money. We're going to work through these 10 steps to help you achieve those three freedoms. Unfortunately, as accountants and advisors, Steph and I do very often see people not achieving these. So they're working crazy hours, the profit margins aren't as they like, or they're not getting enough time to spend with their sort of friends and family. And that's really what I'm hoping most people are here for today. So you think about your business and who it is that teaches you to run your business. Is it your solicitor or your bank manager? It's potentially someone you might have learned in school, or do you learn these things on YouTube? So today's really all about promoting a different way for you to, I suppose, find a mentoring relationship that's going to work for you and help find you someone who can keep you accountable and implement these 10 steps and get a bit of clarity. Okay. So our agenda, we're going to work our way through these 10 steps. We're going to do the what and the why of each one. We're going to talk about implementation and best practice, and then the next steps and options for support. And then at the end, we'll go through some questions. So a key thing for us, and what I really want everyone to leave with today, is 3 clear actions or 3 things of value that they can implement in their business or their own work life. And ideally, we can write these down as we go, just because with most things, if you don't write it down, you're far less likely to achieve it. And so that we get maximum value, we'd like you to write them down. Ideally, at the end, share with everyone as well the things you're going to implement. And we'd have a bit of a chat and open discussion about that. So without on that, I will pass over to Steph to get us underway.
Thanks, Stu. All right, I'm going to kick us off with step number 1. So first step is to get clear on exactly what you want. So who do you want to be right now? Are you looking to be a better mother or a better father, a better leader, a better partner? So often we find ourselves 100% focused on what we want the business to be, that it's easy to forget that the business only exists to get you what you want in your own lifestyle. I'm sure there's not anyone here with us today that wants to spend 100% of their time working in the business. What you want is to do with the personal side. That's where we want to start. We want to start with the personal and make your work for you. So I'm just going to frame your mindset here a bit. So most of us tend to think in the have, do, be way. So when I have $1 million, I'm going to buy a Ferrari and then I'll be successful. So what we want you to do today is to flip it around. So if I am dedicated, I can make a successful business and that'll give me the ability to retire early. So write down who you need to be and then think about what things do you need to do in order to get what you want to have. So what do you love doing outside of work and at home or with your family, with your friends? Think about those and write down the top three things that come into your mind. And then think about what do you need to do to get those things happening? How many hours a week do you need to commit to that hobby that you love doing? Bring it back to the personal side of things. Commit to the things that are outside of your work that you love. And now, normally I'd talk about what holidays you want to go on, but obviously at the moment, no one can go anywhere. So I'm not going to talk too much detail about this, but we can still plan for those things later down the track. So even though we can't leave home at the moment, we can start planning. We'll start writing down those ideas and then we can start putting a plan in place to get where we want to be. So, and then we can start looking at what income do you need to get to that lifestyle. We want to get to that goal, as hard as it might be. That's what we want to aim for. So once we write down these things, you're going to have your personal plan in place. Now, I never thought that I was going to come to one of these sessions and quote a cartoon, but my kids at the moment are obsessed with the movie Boss Baby. And there's a quote in that movie that I absolutely love, which is aim for failure and you'll always succeed. So we want to make sure we're setting ourselves up to avoid failure. We're putting that plan in place. We're aiming away. We're aiming for success. On to you, Stu.
Yep. Thanks, Steph. Rightio. For step 2, it's all about being open to change and new learning. Right. So think of it, back to the kids reference, how many things does a 2-year-old learn in a day? You know, they're enthusiastic, they embrace the world, they've got that real desire to go out and embrace, you know, different stimulus and different objects. And how easily do they give that up, you know? So why is it that we as grown-ups forget this mindset as a kid? New opportunities are everywhere. And in this digital world, there's no real excuse to avoid putting yourself in an environment where you can learn more stuff. So if you think of the saying, if you always do what you've always done, you'll always get what you always got. Everyone probably resonates with that or heard that before. So if you don't expect change of outcome without a change of approach. But now if you think of that same quote in reference to, say, Blockbuster Video or taxis, you know, they did what they've always done and now they're not getting what they've always got. So if you don't grow and adapt and evolve, then the business world around you is going to move past you and you're going to go backwards. So my top 5 ways to do that are simply, number 1, resist the urge to hang out on your phone. Okay, so social media these days, there's not as much activity you can go out and do, and it's really, really easy to get caught in that, you know, the YouTube rabbit holes where you end up watching all sorts of weird and wonderfuls. So try and focus that on things that are educational or growing yourself. You can spend that excess downtime you have now to enroll in new courses and workshops, both online and online and in person as best we can at the moment. Choose topics that are going to help you with your business, and equally valuable things like podcasts when you're stuck in traffic or workshops and just stuff like this tonight. Okay. Do your best to read more, you know, both recreational business books. So spend at least 30 minutes reading each night, and it's, you know, that lack of screen time helps us sleep as well. You know? Keep a journal of your learning so you can revisit them. I like the active reading process. So that's read a paragraph, summarize it in your own words, and you don't have to read that paragraph again. You just have to go back and read your little summary. Right? And after you've read that summary, you can summarize that again. And then you end up with, I suppose, a self-made Blinkist, if anyone knows what that is, the really short versions of a helpful literature that you've got reference to. And then finally, try and turn off the TV. Spend more time reading, listening to podcasts, relaxing. I'm not saying that don't have any downtime and don't relax with your favorite shows, but it's all about a bit of a balance. Like no one's going to stop me from watching, what's that, Plate of Origin, or Mark from stopping watching maths. But do your best to get out there and, grow your business skills, grow your leadership skills, grow your sales skills, or simply just pick up any kind of book and read. Set yourself a target. Perhaps it's reading for 30 minutes a day. Perhaps it's reading one book a month. But try and find ways we can embrace different ideas and different learnings. And start today. That's the key. So, over to you, Steph.
Okay, so the first two steps we've talked about were really about what you want and what you need to change to get you there. So step 3, we want to look at defining where exactly you are now, warts and all. So if you are trying to get directions, you're driving to a place you've never been before, you open up Google Maps, what does it ask you? It asks for your starting point. You can't know how to get where you want to be if you don't know where you are right now. It might seem obvious when I say it like that, but often we just get bogged down and we forget to think about where we are now and really critically assess that. Now, when I do say warts and all, I mean you need to be really open and honest and have an accurate understanding about the 5 points that I'm about to run through. So if you go into this exercise being a little too kind to yourself and you overlook those things that you think, oh, it's not really that big of an issue at the moment, you're more likely to find that not much will really change. It's time to dig down and get a bit dirty. So you want to be honest about the degree to which your owners or your leaders are aligned in their thinking. So if you had someone independently go to the owners in the business and ask, where's the business headed? Are they going to say the same thing? Or if we asked if they think the business is on the right path, what would they say in that case? Then we want to have...
Can I ask a quick question? Sorry to be annoying and jump in.
No, jump in.
I think this is a really interesting point, and I was wondering if you or Stu had any words of advice for people who might be working on their own as a solo founder right now. Because I know that sometimes, you try to be honest with yourself, but you kind of, look for the silver lining on kind of everything. Do you have any kind of examples or ways that might be able to help people who might not have other people to bounce ideas off of in the business?
That's a really good point. So I think what I'd recommend here, and Stu, feel free to jump in if you have some other ideas, is that you might be running that business on your own, but you're not alone. So there's always people out there that you can lean on and go to get support. And that comes back to as well when you're looking at your direction. Have a chat with someone. Just talking to someone, that back and forward interaction, you might find that you're opening up your own thinking a lot more. You're starting to realize those areas that you're lacking in or that you're falling down in, but you haven't admitted to yourself. Someone might be able to ask those questions and really bring that to your front of mind.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Okay, another thing to be honest about is the current level of activity that's generating your sales and your returns that you're achieving right now. So not just the sales themselves, if you're getting some new leads, what is generating those leads? How many proposals are you writing? What's your average sales value? Get a real understanding of where you're at in terms of the results at the moment. Next, you want to be honest about the extent to which your team has bought into your plan and your culture and your core purpose. So how much do they understand the vision that you've set for your business? Without having your team on board, you're not going to get any leverage. So you really want them to be able to fully understand what you're wanting to achieve, and having them on board is going to make getting there so much easier. We also want to be honest about the appropriateness of the measurement and reporting systems you have to track your results. Now, it's all very well to set the targets, but if you can't measure them, then you're flying blind. And better yet, how much of that information that you're getting are you actually using? Often we find that people are running reports just for the sake of running them. They print off a report, they file it away, but they've never looked at it, or they've never actually understood what that information is telling them. Then we also want to understand what your 5 biggest vulnerabilities are right now. Where are the things that are likely to break in the near future? So for example, if you've got poor systemization, if you've got a high team member turnover, a weak balance sheet, or probably the most prevalent issue at the moment, cash flow strain. Anything like this you want to identify so that it's front of mind when you're working on your business rather than in your business. So just like when you talk to Google Maps, you've got to set your starting point before you make your plan. This is where we need to really understand where you're at right now.
Okay, thanks, Steph. So if I go back and recap these first 3 steps, we're getting clear on exactly what we want. We've been open to change, and now we sort of know warts and all where we are. So we can see where we want to be. We've got our bags packed, ready to go. And you know where we are to start with. It's time to figure out exactly how we're going to get there. And the business plan for me is the map to our end game. Okay, we want it clear, we want it easy to understand and easily marked. So when set a business plan, I like to follow a few simple rules. 1, keep it on 1 page. 2 sides if you absolutely have to. But a quote that we often use is, I don't often read fiction, but when I do, it's a 20-page business plan that goes up and to the right. Okay. This wants to be something it's nice and simple to check in on. It's got the clear measurables you want to outline, and it's a reference point for all the different parts you need to put together, all the different parts of your business to keep track of. Okay. You want to use this plan to identify 4 goals or main goals for the year. Okay. If you've got too many goals, you're going to be too distracted to achieve or try and achieve too many different things. Right. Then with these goals, what we want to do is you want to cascade these annual goals into 90-day actions. Okay. So identify what I need to do in the next 90 days to get closer to that year-end goal. Okay. 4 actions every 90 days and they roll over. All right. Out of those 90-day actions, we're going to find ourselves some KPIs or some key performance indicators. Now, we're going to touch base on them a little bit down the track. But any more key things you're trying to measure, you're going to lose detail and you're not going to use them for the right reasons. Okay. Number 5, share your plan with your team. Okay. So that personal career goals or the people around you, that goal should align with yours. Okay. So keep them recorded. If you've got team members, keep them recorded in job descriptions and make sure they're matching up. So what they want to achieve is also what you want to achieve and what's best for your business. We want to keep it visible. So put it up. You probably can't see, but just to the left of Steph is our strategic plan stuck to a wall. If you keep it visible, it's front of mind. You know, all the key aspects of your business should be on that page, ready for you to refer to at any minute. Okay. And then we want to be able to review that quarterly with someone independent. So accountability is huge. And I'll go back to Steph's question from earlier about how to do this by yourself and finding someone to keep you accountable. So share what you're talking about, but also when you've got, I suppose, just yourself managing this whole thing, you want to have someone who's got that external accountability. You know, it's easy to be easy on yourself. It's a lot harder to let someone else down, I suppose. So really a dream. Oh, go on, Steph. Yep.
I was going to say, I've got a couple of questions after when you're ready. Yep. Perfect.
So a dream written down becomes a goal broken down into steps becomes a plan, and a plan backed by actions becomes reality. It was Greg S. Reed said that. So for us, these goals really link to that 5-year vision. Okay. So I've got a 12-month plan. I want to achieve that 12-month plan 5 years time to get to where I want to be. So 5 times in a row to get to that 5-year vision. And you achieve that 12-month plan by breaking it down into really clear 90-day actions. Okay. This is a how-to guide to achieve what you want in life. And it's a fundamental document in your entire business. So hopefully you've all got one. And if so, how good is it? And again, try and reiterate that business is really there to serve you. You don't want to be a slave to your business. So refer back to step one, who you really want to be, how you really want to work, and have your plan based around that. Okay. So question, Steph?
Yeah, I've got a really interesting, good question from Dave, who asked about a SWOT analysis. So, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Where does that fit in? And I think that Dave was referring to this when we were talking about step 3. But yeah, where do you see that kind of fitting into kind of the whole plan section?
Yeah. So for me, like the SWOT analysis, it really does. You want to identify the areas that you're doing really, really well. And those are the areas you really want to focus on when you move forward, as well as really, narrowing down the points you need to work on. So your projects might be, once you've identified these weaknesses, a project might be to close that gap, right? And then you break that weakness down into 90-day actions and work on it from there. So having a SWOT analysis done is a really good part of a business plan. And they really do go hand in hand, especially the opportunities. Opportunities are a big one for me. Okay.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much, Stu. That makes it much clearer. And I have another question about if you're at the early stages of your business and you're kind of working on the kind of feasibility aspect of your business, how does that integrate with plans? Do you still use this kind of, step-by-step guide?
Yeah, so different kind of business plans will suit different business models, I suppose. So if you've got a really early on business or a really early on venture, you might want to use a more lean, more assumptions-based business plan. Whereas if you're fairly well along and you're trying to narrow things down to improve margins and improve capabilities, it might be more tracking and measurement-based. But as long as you can fit it on one page and the actions on it are really, really clear and clear for you to follow, it's going to highlight the really important things for you to focus on in the next 12 months. So it's a little bit horses for courses. But the most important things for the next 12 months need to sit on that page.
Yeah, so it seems to be, it's all about, no matter what stage you're at, it's all about prioritization.
Yeah.
Because otherwise exactly. It's like, how long is a piece of string you could prioritize?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
No worries. Okay, now I see there's a reference to hats in a question here, so that's going to fit in really well with Steph's next one.
Yeah, so this one ties in actually really well with our strategic plan. So we're quite passionate about our organisational structures. So this one is quite personal, I guess, with us. Now, have you heard that saying before about start by getting the right people on the bus, the wrong people off the bus, and then the right people in the right seats? I like that saying, but the issue is that the bus doesn't really ever get talked about. So this sort of links back into where you're just sort of starting up your business. That it's not a one size fits all kind of example. So what if your business isn't a bus? What if it's a jet boat and it only has 2 seats? Or what if it's a freight train? It's got lots of carriages. You need someone to control the whole thing. So step 5 is about getting your organisational structure right. Now, the organisational structure we've got on the page here, we call the 10 hats. It's something we use in our business every day, and it links right through everything we do. And it really sort of highlights what areas or who is responsible for what areas, whether it be people in the business or someone that you've got contracting to you to help you out if you don't have the resources in-house. And it gives you a bit of a visual representation of the hierarchy. So we've got the 10 hats here, being the shareholders, which finance the business. So they're giving you the cash and they're getting the profit at the end. The directors, they set the direction for the business. So they're going to tell you exactly where they want that business to go. That director's hat is really where the business owner sits. So you might not be set up to have directors in your own structure, but that just means your ownership, basically. So the above the line items here are your strategic hats. And then the below the line items are your operational hats, the ones that are the day-to-day kind of things. So first off here, we've got the leadership hat or your CEO. So this is all about increasing your business efficiency. We then have a look at the product or service development hat. This is where we're looking to innovate or improve. Your operations hat. Now, this is the one that all business owners seem to think is the number one thing, and they get stuck in there. They're really stuck in working in the business. But we've got all these other hats that we need to worry about and that need attention as well. So as important as the operations hat is, there are so many other areas in that business that you need to think about as well, which this diagram really helps bring that to the front of mind. So operations hat is all about generating the cash. It's going to get your money in the door, basically. Sales hat is there to convert any prospects that you might have poking around. And the marketing hat is there to bring those prospects to you. So to create those qualified leads for your business. Then we've got finance, who basically manage the cash flow, or try to, I guess, in this COVID situation. And we've got the admin and IT area, which help improve your team's efficiency and give you some leverage over time and people. And then finally, we've got human resources, which is all about improving your team's performance. Now, there's 10 hats here, and you may be thinking there's only one of me. So every hat in this area needs to have a leader. You can wear more than one hat in your business, but you can only have one leader in that area. So if you've got 2 owners in your business, you can't both be wearing that leadership hat, because you're going to end up arguing a lot and you're not going to end up getting a lot done. So what we really want to focus on is having just one leader for each hat. So you could have the IT leader wearing the finance hat as well. There's no problem with that at all. And obviously in small businesses, that does happen a lot. But you might find you've got absolutely no experience in the IT area, and you want to hire someone to outsource that area to. So you're still going to be in control. You're still going to be the leader of that hat, but you've got someone else doing the work, but it's still getting done. That's the main thing. It's about making sure that all these areas are still looked after. Now, it's easy to say that you're the owner, you should wear them all. That's my business, so I need to look after all the areas, which of course as owner, it's your prerogative, I guess, to want to look after everything. But I'm guessing that you're probably not going to have the time to put all that effort in to all those areas and get a really good job out the other side. You're going to get stuck in that operations department like I've talked about. And then the rest of the business ends up a little bit neglected. So this structure really helps identify those areas that may be getting a little bit left behind. And it can also help you pass on that responsibility to someone else. So really empower someone in your team to step up that could have the time to do a better job than you're currently doing. So you want to be reviewing this structure regularly and update any responsibilities if they change. So in other words, keep this structure as a living, breathing document that your team understands. We've got one up on the wall behind me. You may not be able to see it, but we've got them all over our office. We use it to run our meetings, our team meetings in-house. So it helps structure our meetings to make sure we cover off everything we need to do. And you can even tie it into your performance reviews. You just really want to make sure you're living and breathing it. And check in with your team regularly as well to make sure they understand what it all means, and make sure that they're aligning what they're doing with this structure. So valuing the opinions and the contributions of your team is really, really important, but they still need to understand that there is a hierarchy, and this really gives that clear representation for them. Having this also helps you avoid the bottlenecks that happen when the owner is responsible for everything. So you get those times where everyone's coming to you to answer the problem, but you don't have time to answer everything all at once. So this way you've got a bit of a hierarchy where people know exactly who they can come to. And it also will help you manage your business risk as the business grows. Hopefully it's going to get bigger and bigger, and then you've got those areas that you can start to smooth your responsibility across. And once again, it gives that really good opportunity for advancement with your team.
Just one comment. I think it's from Sias, and I'm really sorry if I pronounced your name wrong. But they mentioned that it is kind of like the 6 thinking hats. You know, it's about juggling that balance and not just kind of being on one or the other.
Yeah, exactly. For me, it's a planning thing. So allocating enough time every month to make sure that I'm actually achieving every one of those functions. Same with the 6 thinking hats, you know, making sure you're looking at things from every perspective at every opportunity.
Yeah, and as a, you know, if you're an early stage entrepreneur and it is just you, it's about, you know, how you can wear multiple hats, but then, you know, like what Steph was saying, as you grow and, you know, you bring people on, then maybe other people can actually fill those hats and you don't have to wear all of them at once.
Yep.
Ideally, at the end, we'd all love to be that shareholder hat where all we do is give the money business and get all the profit at the end.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
Yeah. And had a good comment from Hannah is about outsourcing as well. That, you know, possibly some of the hats that you might not feel so comfortable with, that you might be able to outsource, you know, instead of kind of ignoring it and hoping it goes away, maybe outsourcing it is a way of still making sure that hat is being worn, but not burdening you as the founder.
That's definitely a good point. So like I mentioned with the IT, it's a common area to really not know a lot about it yourself, but you can easily get help. Another one is in marketing as well. There are a lot of businesses out there that can help you with your marketing if you don't have time or the knowledge to do it yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
I was just going to give the example of our business, Steph, with the IT hat. So our IT leader is a person who's got the best relationship with our outsourced IT, basically, because we're not IT experts. So we certainly outsource one of ours.
Yeah, and that's the same with us in terms of human resources. You know, our human resources person is somebody who has a great relationship with our HR consultant, because it's not something that we have the internal capability for, but it is important. So we have somebody that we can pull in when we need.
I think, like Hannah just said, if you don't have the right knowledge and the right person doing the job, it's a lot of wasted time, or lost time. Moving on though, next step for us really is about being a better leader and building a strong workplace culture. Now, even in instances where it is just yourself, you still want to have the basis of a good culture around you. So have you ever asked yourself if your workplace is toxic? And I'm sure, hopefully, no one here's worked in a toxic work environment. It's a difficult experience for anyone who has. I'm sure they'd know. But considering you spend 40,000 hours of your life at work, it's a long time to work in an environment that's not fun. Okay. So there is a lot of characteristics about a toxic workplace. So number one, it's a lack of trust. So it's a real us and them mentality, and people not being aligned. Okay. There's no core values or people who aren't living into those core values. So there's a separation of views in there. You get those after meetings. So when people are catching up for a coffee or they're sitting at a desk thinking, oh, geez, what was old mate in this last meeting just talking about? And that positivity and that reinforcement isn't just there. It's a fairly high stressed environment. It's had a lot of stressful interactions, and they tend to be the norm. So there's no calmness. It's all go all the time and all tension. You get team members and owners mistreating each other, which is never nice. So you want to make sure that everyone's enjoying themselves and being treated as they'd like to be treated themselves, or treating others as they'd like to be treated. And then you get no team buying in on the core purpose of the goals. Okay, so basically culture eats strategy for breakfast. Okay, so these are the wise words of Peter Drucker. Doesn't matter how good your strategy is, if you have a bad culture, it's going to be really, really hard to implement things. So how do we deal with that? Okay, you basically want to take a really honest look at yourself, right? And you want to try and come up with some core values, basically. So core values are things that you live to every day. So our core values are frick, fun, respect, integrity, congruent, Kaizen. They're plastered all over our office. We know what they all mean. Everyone lives to them. Our reward system, our good egg of the month award is based off it. and it's something that their entire team can get behind. All right? You want to have a really clear purpose. So why does business exist for your clients? A really good option here would be to check out Simon's next video, Start With Why, on YouTube. Anyone watched that before? Thumbs up, thumbs down? No? Yep, it's really good. Yeah, it's a TED Talk, or just have a look at that. Have a good watch. You want to make your purpose and your core values highly visible. So every team member has memorized them. Hold each other account for living into them. You want to align team goals with your business goals. So you want to make sure that the things you're promoting the team to do are the things that are going to push your business forward. Right? We want to celebrate success. So we want to give recognition to team members for great performance. Okay. A positive culture where people are happy to share what they've done and what they've achieved. Really create regular team meetings and meet with everyone. That's just going to ensure that there's really good communication, and minor issues don't fester that way. A minor issue becomes a major issue with just time. Okay. And that's, the more that resentment builds, the harder it is for everyone to get on board and achieve those same goals. And then we want to discourage the after meetings. If there's an issue, create an environment where people are open to talk about why they might disagree with something, or might share their ideas, because the more idea sharing, the better the overall result is going to be. Okay. We're going to stop playing favourites, give equal opportunity for all your team members to grow and shine. We want to deal with toxic employees. Hopefully no one has any sort of toxic employees, but really want to open the door of opportunities for them. So it's not about finding them and removing them. It's about finding them and helping them get on board, getting on the bus in a way that's really efficient for the team. To quote Henry Ford, coming together is a beginning, keeping together is a progress, and working together is a success. Okay, so get the whole team around you, whether that's internal, external advisors. Really find a way for everyone to collaborate as much as possible, and for everyone to be moving in the right direction as much as possible. Okay, and have more fun. Basically, try a bit of fun. Last one there I missed. We want to enjoy work as best we can. Okay, Steph.
Step 7 is all about accountability. So this comes back to what we were talking about earlier, about if it is just you on your own, what do you do? Now, the only way you're going to ensure that the actions you commit to get done is if you've got someone nagging you all the time about getting it done. So let's have a think about how people set their New Year's resolutions. I'm guessing 99% of you would set them based on what you didn't get done in the last round. So the same thing sort of applies too. If you want to set a goal to go to the gym regularly, just having that membership probably isn't motivation enough to make sure you get there. I'm going to give you an example that relates to me personally. So right before this latest round of lockdown, I signed up for an 8-week challenge at my gym. I had the goal to lose the baby weight I had gained after having my youngest. And when the gyms all closed, I knew that I was going to be able to justify to myself that, it's too hard. I can't go. I'm on my own. I can't get motivated to go out into the garage and work out. So straight away, what I did was I went and found an online coach to keep me accountable. Just the fact of knowing that she can see if I've done my workout or not is enough to get me off the couch in an afternoon and out into the garage to do that workout. Unfortunately, we tend to be our own worst enemies when it comes to making excuses. So getting help on this front is really crucial. Yeah, who's the best people to hold you to account? Do you want someone that's going to say, that's okay, maybe next time when you miss a deadline? Or do you want someone that's going to come back to you and say, you can do better? We all need someone with that backbone that's going to be able to hold us to account, and that is going to give you a consequence. So it might not be a punishment or such, but something that's going to make you feel bad enough that you want to do better next time. And most likely a partner or a friend, they're just not going to be hard enough. They're going to be too gentle. They're not going to want to hurt our feelings. But we need someone that's going to be firm enough to motivate us to get what we want done. So they may upset us in the short term, but in the long term, they're going to get us to that goal. They're simply being a stand-in for us to achieve the results we want to achieve, which in the long term is going to make us happier anyway. So we want to find a coach that's got more than just a backbone. So they want heart. We want someone that's going to care about those goals that we set getting met. So they're not a soft person, but they're firm, but their approach is enough that we can achieve those goals. Now, do any of you use an accountability coach? It might not be someone that you've hired to keep you accountable, but you might have that one person that you know if you say you haven't done something, they'll pull you up on it. Does anyone have that friend that you know is always on your back about something, or someone that challenges you? No, that's all right. There's always someone out there. So what we want to do is make sure we find that person that's really going to push you. It's going to have that backbone as well as that heart when it comes to keeping you accountable.
There's a few people, Steph, who have actually said that they have found a bit of an accountability buddy. So Karen has said that she's got someone that holds her to account. And Dave has also said that he has a mentor who he finds really helpful for this kind of thing.
Yeah, mentor is perfect for this kind of thing.
Yeah. And Karen is, did you want to share who your accountability buddy is? I have a feeling I know who it might be. Oh, we can't hear you for some reason. Oh, sorry, Karen, it's not working.
Okay, sorry, I had it on my podcast mic, but it's not plugged in. No, it's not Nikki. She's too busy, but I have an online group, and we get together every Friday and we all, work with a mastermind together, to keep pulling ourselves forward. Yeah.
Yep. Collaboration circles are the same sort of thing. That's unreal. Yep. Finding people you can chat to, a little cohort you can build. Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks, Karen.
All righty. Step 8, building strong networks. So basically people follow good examples. So if you're a good example in the community, people will be drawn to you. It's just sort of as simple as that. So most businesses generate the vast majority of their business from referrals. Okay. The great thing about referrals is they don't cost you anything. And the best place to gain referrals is networking with your existing client base and people you do business with. Okay. So this is the next step for us. Now, how do you maximize referrals from your network? Okay. So 1, consider the lifetime value of a client. Okay. So let's say you own a restaurant. The average customer spends $100 every time they visit you, and they visit you 5 times a year. All right. Restaurants' gross profit margin is 66%, and the customers generally keep returning for about 5 years. I know there's a lot of maths behind that, but if you plug all that in, the lifetime value of that customer is $1,600. Okay. So with this value in mind, what could you give your customer to demonstrate how much you appreciate that business? Okay. Perhaps it's a complimentary drink, and the more you can do that, the more they're going to spread the word, and the more they're going to become an advocate for your business. Okay. You want to identify complementary businesses. Okay. So let's say a surveyor, they might want to work with lawyers, valuers, bankers, accountants, or tradespeople, because that's where their work is going to come from. Okay. Create an informal group of people who you think will work well together and commit to regular social activity. Okay. So you focus on how you can work together more efficiently or more effectively, or simply just, use the time to have fun and chat business, chat ideas, because that's also going to help you grow and develop as a business operator. You want to give more referrals than you seek in return. Okay. When you give work to others, it creates a desire for them to give work back to you, repay that sort of favor. It's the law of, reciprocity. English's not good for me. When you do something nice for someone, they'll often reciprocate with a gesture far more generous. So more referrals. Okay. So the more referrals you can go out there, and it's as simple as asking, really. Find out where your target market hangs out. Right. There may be existing networks you can just turn up to. BNI, Rotary, Chamber of Commerce. If these are going to work for you, turn up. These online forums you can work out too. There's plenty of online forums at the moment. Jump in and join. And then 5, get involved with not-for-profit organizations. So choose something that you and your team are interested in. It could be a sports club. You don't want to get down there and peddle your wares, or just try and sell everything to anyone who's attending. Just promote the brand. Have genuine chats with prospective customers, and just build that trust in the community. Okay, it's also something your team and yourselves can get behind. Okay, so just have a think of which of these 5 you can really implement today, I suppose. All right, Steph.
Okay, step 9 is about monitoring your progress towards your targets. So when you're driving your car, there's 3 things you look at on your dashboard, right? So you've got your speed, you've got your fuel level, and you've got the engine temperature, I should say. And if you're me, you've got the radio to make sure you're on the right station. So it should be the same for your business. So you have those 5 most important things that you want to monitor and keep an eye on. So you've got your key performance indicators, or your KPIs. How do you decide which are the most important, and then how do you calculate them? So we've got a bit of a 4-step process to create this dashboard, I guess we could say. So the first thing you want to do is understand which KPIs have the greatest influence on your ability to achieve your goals. So originally we started talking about where you're currently at the moment, warts and all. So your current level of activities that's getting the sales and the numbers that you have right now. So we want to look at which KPIs, when increased or decreased, is going to have the biggest impact on those numbers. Which ones are going to drive those results? And we want to stick to no more than 5 KPIs. So those real critical ones that are going to get you to that goal. So for a professional firm, it might be your average hourly rate that's invoiced. So not just put on the timesheet, but actually invoiced out. For a contracting firm, it might be your gross margin on a job, in which case you really want to make sure that you're tracking your job costs. For a retailer, it could be the average transaction value for a day or for a week. Whatever it is, set those 5 key areas that's going to be the most important to you, and then we'll go from there. So next we want to work out how to measure the 5 KPIs that we've set. So I like to put the measuring of KPIs into 3 different categories. We've got automate, delegate, and manual. What we want to do is get all of, or as many as we can, into that automate section. So something that's going to automatically give you those numbers, where you're not going to have to put in a lot of work to calculate the KPI result. If we can't get to that level, then we can delegate. We'll get someone else to do it. If they're looking after that area that's really important to your business, we'll get that person to help you with the KPI tracking. And if worst comes to worst, we get out the old spreadsheet and we go manual. Now, we want to make sure when you're measuring your gross profit margin, for example, if this is what your KPI is, that you need to split out your costs by job. So as I mentioned earlier, for that contracting firm, you need to make sure that you've got software in place that can give you the split between jobs. If you're just using your spreadsheet, that's going to make it a bit harder. So if you've got that tool ready to use, it's going to simplify things and allow you to track how your business is going with a lot less effort. If you want to measure your average income per client per annum, you need to measure your revenue on a rolling 12-month basis and then divide that by the number of clients you have. The third step here is to set up a simple 1-page report that you can produce on a weekly or a monthly basis to track your progress against these 5 KPIs. So this would be your dashboard, so to speak. And then make sure that you've allocated time to go through this report every time it's produced. So this comes back to not having these reports generated and then not using them. So if we're just printing them off and we look at them once every 6 months, you're not really getting a lot of value from your time there. You want to make sure that you set time aside. So whether that's going into your calendar and blocking out an hour every month to sit down and review that, or if it's just that you know that your report's going to be done on a Friday afternoon, you grab a cup of tea and sit down and look at it then. Putting that time aside is really essential. And then make sure you share your results with the team. So having that team buy-in works both ways. You want the team to be able to show, well, want the team to be able to see that you're really involving them in getting to those goals that we've set as the business. Now, repeat these steps as well with your individual team members. So set those KPIs with individual team members as well as the overall business. So obviously the individual ones are going to be different to the KPIs we're setting overall, but establishing the KPIs for each individual team member lets them understand the definition of a great day's work for them. So it distinguishes when they've done really, really well because they can see that they've hit that KPI. And once again, this also ties back into that performance review tracking. So having those KPIs makes it a lot easier when it comes to reviewing performance, where you can easily compare to an actual result.
Steph, quick question here.
Yep.
If there is a business that is pre-revenue, so it's still sending up, isn't turning over money as yet, do you have some examples of what the kind of targets or KPIs might be at those early stages?
So it depends, I guess, on your goals. So what you can do, I think Stu mentioned earlier that you could go with some assumptions here. So you could have a look at what the industry is doing in terms of the averages around there, or you could have a look at your goal specifically and say perhaps you don't want to generate a certain amount, but you want to get a number of a certain exposure. So you might want to set your KPI around the number of people who are visiting your website. It really depends on what those specific targets you want to achieve are. Even if you're not generating money right now, having those kind of targets that are going to get that money coming in later can be really valuable.
Yeah, okay, great. So it could, well, I think website hit was a good one. Maybe even something like, number of inquiries or something that you're getting. Okay, that's really good to know. So they're things that indicate, possible revenue to come, even if you are at the early stages.
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, great. Thank you.
Definitely don't all need to be financial. So.
Yeah. I did hear a good one last week that there was an entrepreneur who had a KPI of trying to have 100 cold calls a week. So 100 sales calls that they would make outbound to potential customers a week, which I was like, that is a lot of phone calls. but that they set that target and that's what they really worked for over 3 months.
That's an impressive number of calls. I don't think I'd have the dedication to get through 100 calls.
Lucky a lot of plans have unlimited minutes now. It's expensive.
I suppose if I could just add one thing, don't be afraid to throw in a personal KPI too, depending on what stage you're at. If you're very, very early on and you're working full-time elsewhere and you've got a heap on your plate, that KPI might be, hours spent with the kids or with the dog or, hours at exercise. It's a KPI or a measure that's going to best suit your next 12 months and your 12-month goals. Okay? So not all business all the time.
That's a really good point.
And for anyone who's interested, that dashboard, I believe, comes from a program called Futrli, Futrli. Linked with pretty much everything. Okay, step number 10. Our last step shouldn't come last. This is definitely not the 10th most important one, but it's keep your happiness well full. So I'll let you guys read that quote there. So, we want to make sure that we're ending on a positive note. We want to end the seminar focusing on yourself and what you guys love. So just as an airline team tell you to put on an oxygen mask before assisting others, make sure you're looking after yourself first. So what are the things that fill your well of happiness? These are activities that restore your energy and your resilience levels, help you face the challenges in your business. There might be flamenco dancing, yoga, mountain biking. They're all personal ones of mine. You might be reading books, walking in the forest, or just coffee with a friend. It's all, whatever recharges you and helps you have that ability to keep moving forward. They're things that you just don't have time for right now. So, there's only so many hours in a day, I suppose. and you want to make sure that you're setting enough time to do that first. So first things first, that's the most important part, is to, not book 40 hours of work meetings first of the week. Book out that time for yourself first and go from there. Most important part of everyone's calendar should be their lunch break. Put it in the first, stick to it, have a break. Of course, you have the time. You just don't allocate it, I suppose. So you want to make a list of activities that make you happy, the things that you're putting off doing because you don't think are as important. Okay, but it's all importance and priorities all come down to just your personal choice. Then you make yourself a commitment to spend at least 1 hour a day or a week or a month or whatever best suits you to doing that, and then sharing the fact that you've done that activity with someone else, someone who can keep you accountable. And then keep a log of every time you do that, these activities in a journal, and then hopefully watch your enthusiasm and your engagement in the business peak afterwards. So don't burn yourself out. That's really, as far as the 10 steps go, that is pretty much it. So we're clear on where we want to be. We're open to changing and learning new things. We know exactly where we are right now. We've made that plan to get from here to there. We've got our organisation structure sorted. We're being a strong leader. We're building a great workplace culture. We've got someone independent to hold us to account. We've got a strong network of people behind us and around us. We're monitoring our progress, and most importantly, we're looking after ourselves. Okay? So, actions. Steph.
Yes. So one of the biggest problems we have in business is failure to implement. So what we want you to do after spending an hour of your time here already, so you've already taken that time out of your day, you could have been out playing with the kids or going for a walk, enjoying the sunshine while it's out there, although it might be a bit dark at the moment. I haven't looked out the window. But you've already put that commitment in. So we want you to make sure that you're really coming away from this session with some value. So if you don't write down the actions that you need to take, you're just not going to do them. What 3 actions will you take after attending this seminar? So, or what are the problems that you need to begin to start solving that you've already been experiencing in your business? Now, doing nothing is simply not an option. You've already spent the time, you've already done something. So take that next step, commit to making a difference in your business, commit to moving forward. Remember, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Do something different this time. Really take some action. And just enjoy your time as well. So like Stu has mentioned, burnout is a big issue for business owners. We want to make sure you're really looking after yourselves, especially considering what's going on in the world at the moment. Take this action, improve your business, and improve your own lifestyle as well.
So hopefully everyone's has been jotting a few things down as we go, but does anyone have 3 things of value they've got, or one thing of value that they'd like to share with everyone else, and something they're going to take away and implement? Just bang it in the chat if you want. Otherwise, we've got plenty of time left to go through some questions.
Hey, you guys were a super quiet bunch. Usually I'm like fielding questions left, right and centre. So either you were had all the answers through Steph and Stu's presentation, or were too fixed on absorbing it all in. But yeah, please feel free to pop in any questions that you have, or even because we have a bit of time up our sleeves, unmute yourself to ask. But if you do have to head off, please leave us some feedback. I have just popped it in the chat. You can probably tell that we like our numbers. I think the crew at Pursuit also like their numbers, so we love to get some feedback to know what to do a little bit differently. But if you do have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself and ask. Otherwise, I have noted down a few things. I'll send you that link. I'll send you the slides, the link to the Simon Sinek's Start With Why, and also a link to Futurely. That looks like a pretty cool program, actually. I just sussed it out.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Yep.
Yeah.
It's super powerful if you're, depending on your bookkeeping software. But I won't go full accounting nerd now.
I can save that to later. But yeah, unmute yourself, crew, if you do have any questions. Karen, thank you, Karen. You said you needed a kick in the butt. I thought that's what you help other people do, get them started.
I have a question.
Fire away.
Hello, everyone. There was a question, I think, that initially there was sent out questions early, and I put it in there, so I'm not sure if anyone got it, but around how to manage staff better without micromanaging them. So how to make them accountable to the level that you want them to be at, and do a good, thorough job without wasting too much of your own time and doing the job while you're telling them, but then not, and making sure they do it without being on their back too much.
I'll take this one, Stu, if you don't mind. So there are a few points that we covered off on today that I think would really help in this area. So first being that 10-hat structure. So getting that hierarchy really clear so that they know that they've got the responsibility, but that they need to report back. That's a great way to empower people and make them feel like they're actually responsible, which you tend to find they'll give you better results if they feel that responsibility is on them. Another way is around the KPIs. So those individual KPIs, if you're monitoring them, it's a great way to see how they're going and actually getting those tasks done. I think it's really difficult to give up that control, and especially as a business owner, to lose the visibility, I guess. But I think if you've got really good KPIs there, you're going to see that reporting coming back up to you as the leader. And hopefully that will help you get some understanding on how things are going.
Yeah, thank you.
I feel like that's always the most challenging part of being a leader, is kind of managing others in your team and balancing that the kind of autonomy with making sure that things are done right. It's a careful balancing act.
Yeah, especially when you've built it from the ground up, and like, I don't have any business training. I'm a health professional, so all of this is great structure, but it takes a lot of time to put all these things in practice. So yeah, it's a big job, but I can see that you get there. You just need good structure to probably go through each one of them and get it in place.
Pick the 4 biggest projects you've got and break them down into 90-day goals. You know, it's really hard to see all the different things you've got to do right away. So just try and prioritise as best you can, and you go from there. Take it 90 days at a time.
Yep, awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, be kind to yourself. You know, you can't do all of the things by yourself at the same time at once. So, you know, I think that especially people who are starting their own business, you're kind of really ambitious and aspirational, and you can be your own harshest critic.
Exactly.
I've got a question.
Yeah.
I'm finding that technology, as in getting online and waiting for people, I spend hours trying to access things, even whether it's Slack or waiting for someone to call me back. I'm being productive maybe for about 10% of the day because everything else is being held up because I can't get online. Is anyone else having that problem, and how do they deal with it?
So is it just there's too much on the go for it at any one stage, or is it just the lack of feedback?
It's partly lack of feedback. Today, as an example, I was waiting for an estate agent to get back to me regarding drawing up a lease agreement. I was waiting for a web designer to get back to me because they were waiting for information. I was waiting for my person doing my copyright to link them with another source. So it's just waiting. And then I've actually got 2 phones, so somebody will be on hold while I'm waiting for them to answer the call or to call me back.
I'm a BAM fan person, so book a meeting from a meeting. So let's say you rang your estate agent to talk about the lease. Just say, listen, my next spot available is Wednesday at 2:00. Can I put you into coming back then? And then you can plan around that. And it puts the pressure on their end as well.
except that the person who's going to rent from me, I have to tell them whether it's okay for them to rent.
Okay. Yeah.
That,
Yeah.
you know, it's too many things. It's the whole thing of me, myself, and I, and who do I delegate and who do I do things for, because it's all with me at the moment.
Yeah.
I think, Hannah, I was talking to somebody else actually the other day who had a bit of a similar frustration, that had kind of put all of these feelers out, you know, for different bits of work and things like that. But, you know, unfortunately they, no one had kind of gotten back to them, and they were just a bit disheartened and frustrated that they weren't moving anywhere. But I think as well, like if your things are kind of stalling, don't be scared just to follow up and just be like, you know, hey, just wondering how you're going on this. Can we book a meeting to, you know, talk a little bit more about it? Because I think sometimes, you know, people don't want to follow up because you think it's rude or things like that, but it's definitely not. So sometimes that follow up can be just like the gentle nudge that people need to start moving on things. And maybe if you want to talk a few more specifics, let me know and I can give you a buzz later on in the week.
I spoke to Sarah this morning because I was having some problems as to whether I was on the right track at all, and it was either you or Brenna to talk to.
Yeah, okay. I can give you a call tomorrow. I've got time tomorrow morning if you want.
Thanks. I've got an appointment with Stuart tomorrow morning at some stage. I think some ridiculous time, like 8:30 tomorrow.
Oh, I think, is that Thursday? Might be Thursday.
Is it Thursday? I know
It's Thursday.
After.
Yep. Thursday, 8:30. Yep.
Right.
I'll give you a call tomorrow morning, Han.
Thanks, Steph.
Were there any other questions that anybody had for Stuart or for Steph?
Yeah, I'll just say something. It's not actually a question, but I just wanted to thank you because, you know, I like that you've included the personal stuff in there, because, you know, quite a lot of them is just like push, hustle, grind, you know, all that crap for your business. And it's really important. And to be honest, I'd forgotten, I'd let that slip because, you know, we had in our diaries at the start of the year, date nights, you know, and date weekends, and we had all that sort of stuff put in our diaries, which we did the right thing, putting that in ahead. And then when COVID hit, you know, that's kind of gone by the wayside. And to be honest, being stuck at home, we've just got into a bad habit of working all the time, you know, because we can't go out and have date night and all that stuff. And so you've given me a big kick in the ass, actually. So I really, really appreciate that you've put that personal stuff in there. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say, but thanks.
No problem at all.
It's a big bonus. Thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for that feedback. I know personally I'm very passionate about bringing it back to the personal level. Obviously, as business advisors, we work with businesses a lot, but I really feel passionate about relating it back to the fact that not everyone just wants to go to work for the rest of their lives. They're working for a reason, and that reason is personal. I know, like you, Karen, I had date night as one of my New Year's resolutions, which got completely destroyed by COVID, and I was guilty the first time lockdown came around that I was working almost every night from home. On top of working during the days as well. But this time around, I've really tried to get that focus back to personal, and I'm trying to stick with only working on my set hours now. So sometimes it just takes that little bit of a reminder to refocus, I think.
Are there any other final questions for this evening before we wrap it up? We've whizzed through it tonight, gang, which usually it's the polar opposite. We're trying to like speed up because we've gotten distracted along the way or had lots of questions or things like that. So now is your last chance to ask Stu and Steph any final questions. Just waiting to see if anybody unmutes themselves. It looks like I'm sensing radio silence, which I think that means that people have had their questions answered, which is good. So please join me in thanking Stu and Steph for giving up their evening tonight and giving us a lot of food for thought, a lot of really great kind of really manageable steps for us to kind of go forward and build a better business, not just for the business, but for us as well personally. So thank you so much, Stu and Steph, for your time this evening. And for all of our amazing entrepreneurs on the call, I'll email you shortly with the slides and with a few links to resources that we discussed this evening. Otherwise, stay safe, look after your loved ones, and we will see you all next time.